Hello creative friends and welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you're here. Today I will paint a beautiful and fresh spring landscape with a blue sky, mountains, a lake and a cute cabin. We'll use a limited palette which will help our painting look balanced and natural. So let's get started. I'm imagining my sheet divided into 3 equal parts. The bottom one will be my green foreground. This makes for a more interesting composition compared to if it takes half of the sheet. I'm measuring the same distance from the edge of the paper. This way I'm making sure that it will be a straight line. Somewhere past the middle, it goes downward. And here will be my horizon line, a couple of centimeters above the line I just drew. So the space between these two lines will be the lake. And somewhere about here I will draw the cabin. So we have two parallel vertical lines. Actually, I will make it a bit wider. I'm drawing a line in the middle which will mark the highest part of the roof. I will connect those two lines. And now I'll connect each one with the one in the middle. And we have the shape of the house. I'll add some volume to the roof. And now I will add some windows. You can add as many or as few as you want. Try to make them smaller, otherwise it will look weird. Here I'll have a door. And some windows on the right side too. I tried to make them in one line with those on the left. Simple things like this can help your sketch look more realistic. And a chimney. And the cabin is ready. Now let's draw the mountains. I'm holding my pencil high and I make irregular lines going up and down. Some final touches to the sketch, and now I'll erase the excess graphite by rolling my kneaded eraser over my sketch. And now I'll prepare my paper. For this tutorial, I use this method where we wet the backside of the paper too. It helps to keep it wet for longer so that we can work more confidently without rushing. It also helps to keep the paper flat without using paper tape. You only need a board that is made from non-absorbing material. I wet the backside of the paper with lots of water, and while I let it soak, I'll choose the color for the sky. I'm wondering if I should go with this cobalt blue or with this cerulean blue hue. I like the cobalt more. I think it's more suitable for a spring sky, so I will go with that. You can use ultramarine or cerulean blue, whatever you have available. I'm adding more water to the paper, and now I'll flip it. I'm placing it carefully on my board. And now I will water this side. I press slightly to get rid of the air bubbles underneath. I leave it like that for a minute or two, and then I place a cotton towel on top. I press with my hands, trying to get rid of any remaining air bubbles. Now the surface of my paper is dry, but it has enough moisture inside, so when I place more water or paint on its surface, it will stay wet for longer. Now I'll wet just the area of the sky. We need an even coat of water. And with my quill size 5, I'm taking some cobalt blue straight from the pan. Here I have some water on my mountains, so I will soak it up with my paper towel. And let's paint the sky. I'm holding my brush high and I make spontaneous movements, leaving some white space for the clouds. They should be bigger in the upper part of the sky and smaller when they get closer to the mountains, following the rules of perspective. Here closer to the mountain, the sky should be paler too. So I'm swirling my brush in my water jar. I don't want to wash off the color completely. I'm dabbing it on my paper towel and now we'll carefully go around the mountains. I'm taking paint from the pan again and now I will shape the clouds. I try to make them look natural. I think this is okay. The next step is to paint the mountains, but if I do it now, the paint will flow into the sky because it's still very wet. Instead, I will wait a bit for the sky to become less shiny. So I waited for about 5 minutes and I dried my sky slightly with a hairdryer. So now it's not shiny and if I press my finger, it won't get smudged. I'm taking indigo straight from the pan with very little water on my brush. This is important, we need a thick pigment. If it's watery, it still may ruin our sky, plus we want the mountains to stand out against the blue sky. By the way, I switched to a smaller brush. I'm squeezing the extra paint from my brush on my palette and now I will paint the mountains. I start by going around the edge that I drew with my pencil. I take a little water with my brush and drag the color down with it, diluting it. I'm taking more concentrated color and I continue. Because my pigment is very concentrated, it leaves these white spaces and this will be the snow on our mountains. Now I wash my brush and I will dilute that paint even more, going downward. I'm leaving a little space between that and my horizon line. So this way we create the feeling of depth, like there is mist there. I'm going back to the thick pigment and I continue going right. I repeat the same process. Here on the very right, I will paint it with diluted paint. I'll drop some concentrated pigment here and there. Some here too. Basically, I'm playing with my brush strokes, trying to make organic texture and color spots. Now let's paint the greenery at the base of the mountains. I'm taking this very bright and happy green. I add it to my palette and mix it with a little bit of indigo. It's Leaf Green by PwC. You can use olive green or you can add some yellow to whatever green you have, or you can directly use lemon yellow. And with that I will paint some green spots. Some are bigger and some are smaller, and I try to vary the ratio between the green and the indigo. This way I get darker and lighter green in different hues. Here this misty part is too straight, so I will wipe some pigment with my damp brush. And I will continue with the greenery, playing around with the mixes between those two colors. Now I'll fill the tiny space between the green and the horizon line with indigo. It becomes dark green when I place it next to the wet light green. I make different color spots as I go. Some dots with darker green. And now with concentrated light green. Basically we want to make it look rich and natural with different shapes and colors, not just a single stripe of green. You can sprinkle some clean water on the still wet mountains. It will add to the texture and the feeling of depth. Now let's paint the lake. I'm taking some clean water on my brush. Actually, I'll switch to the bigger brush again. So I'm taking clean water on my brush and I will drag it across the area of the lake, slightly touching the green part. The colors will flow into the clean water, creating natural looking reflections. The more you go across the edge between them, the more color will flow into the clean water. I carefully go around the cabin. You can also use this opportunity to fix your horizon line if it's not straight. I'm filling the rest of the lake area with clean water. And now I will work more on the reflections. I'm taking a flat brush and I will drag some of the color down. Here and there, I'm using very light pressure. The other option is if you have a fluffy soft brush, you can just move it across the edge between the greenery and the lake. You can add more color to the reflections if you want. I add some lighter green. And then I'll blend it again with the fluffy brush. It has a lot of pigment already, so here it left this spot, but I will fix it with a damp brush. Now with the flat brush, I will fix the shape of the roof. If you do this, make sure it's almost dry, otherwise you risk spoiling your greenery or your lake. Okay, now it's time for painting the green foreground. I want to have a soft edge between that and the lake, so I won't wait for the lake to dry completely. But also take note that it's not shiny either. So I will take concentrated leaf green with very little water. I will taste how it spreads here in the corner. I'm happy with how it spread, so I'm painting the entire thing. Now I'll add some green. I'm moving my brush in crisscross directions to make the blends more natural. I don't like what happened here, so I will go over it one more time. But first, let's blend those colors. So again, with very concentrated leaf green, I fix this edge. Now let's add some pure indigo. I'm adding some horizontal lines, getting smaller and smaller as I go up. I'm blending the colors with my damp brush. Now I take smaller brush and with that I will sprinkle some clean water. I really like the effect, so I will repeat it several times. This adds a lot of interest to the foreground. I will repeat the process with some green now. It looks particularly nice against the dark colors. Adding some spots with my brush. And finally some splatter with indigo. Be careful not to splatter your lake. Adding some more with my brush. Some more with clean water. I'll try to fix this edge again with some concentrated paint. I like how it looks, so I'll add more spots with that color. Now I will leave this to dry completely before I paint the cabin. My painting is now dry. You can see the edges are not stuck to the board anymore. It still has moisture inside, but the foreground feels dry, the colors have settled, so I won't disturb them. I'm taking some Indian gold. It's a very beautiful brown, yellow, orange color. I colored the entire cabin with it. Here close to the green, I try not to overlap the two colors. Now I'm taking some burnt umber. I'll add it below the roof. More on the left side and less on the right. Some horizontal lines. And now to make the shadows even darker, I will add some Payne's Gray to it. You can use sepia or even indigo. I will paint the roof with my flat brush and some burnt umber mixed with Payne's Grey. With the same brush and the same dark mix, I will paint the window frames. The door I will fill in entirely. Same for the tiny window below the roof. Some more horizontal lines with burnt umber. I will define the edges of the house. Now with the down brush, I will try to lift some of the colors so that I have dark and light lines. I will also try to fix the edge between the cabin and the green part. With a small brush and some brown paint, I will add the chimney. And finally, I will use my flat brush and very concentrated royal blue to paint the windows. If you don't have royal blue, you can mix some white gouache and ultramarine or any other blue that you have. I will add a single line with royal blue here to define this window. Let's finish it with songbirds. They always make the scene more alive. Make sure to paint them smaller. Okay, enough birds. And voila, we are ready. Our fresh green spring landscape looks fantastic. Thank you so much for joining and for painting along with me. If you post your painting on Instagram, don't forget to tag me so that I can see it and leave you a comment. If you want more in-depth classes, you can join me on Skillshare. I have a link that will give you a free 30 days membership, and you can watch mine as well as thousands of other amazing classes. Check the links in the description for more. Thank you once again for being here. See you soon and happy painting!